I no longer dream, but I was once a hunter too. There's nothing more horrific than a hunt. In case you fail to realize, the things you hunt, they're not beasts, they're people.
We are about to head into Old Yharnam, but first here's a quick recap of everything we've learned in the previous video. People came to Yharnam from all over the world in search of blood healing. The healing church was responsible for the magical blood, but it had unforeseen consequences. The blood had been turning people into beasts through excessive use. But due to the popularity of this blood, there were many Yharnamites who started blaming outsiders for this beastly scourge. Many of the Yharnamites took to hunting as well, but were no match against the beasts, and they themselves started falling more and more into beasthood. The healing church tasked hunters, humans who were enhanced with blood, to deal with this plague. After defeating the cleric beast, we learned that Ludwig was the first hunter from the healing church, and many who followed turned into beasts themselves, Father Gascoigne being a prime example. We don't yet know where this blood came from, but we did pick up an item called Madman's Knowledge, which suggests that there are deity-type creatures known only to us as the Great Ones. Our sole objective at this point is to find pale blood so that we can transcend the hunt. We meet a man in Yharnam willing to aid us, who directs us in the direction of the Cathedral Ward, the birthplace of blood ministration, where we should be able to find some answers regarding this pale blood. We also learned that through fear of the beastly scourge, the healing church blocked off and burned an entire town to the ground, known as Old Yharnam. The town still remains, but it is in ruins and only beasts live there now. But we need to venture into this place if we wish to enter the Tomb of the Gods, where we might find answers on these so-called Great Ones and partake in communion with other hunters. And with Yharnam wrapped up, we make our way into the Valley Hamlet. So we continue where we left off in the Cathedral Ward. We see that the old woman we sent back is here and she's as cheerful as ever. Something she says explains why Yharnamites are so vehemently against outsiders. Apparently it's our fault that Yharnam is in this mess because we tainted their blood. This is not the case, but it's easy to see why they would feel that way. We notice, however, that the little girl is nowhere to be found, so we go look for her real quick. If she were to reach Odin Chapel from her house, she'd have to move down into the sewers and pass the... Oh no. Sure enough, the pig devoured her. He drops the red messenger ribbon, and if you look at its image, it's actually a white ribbon soaked with blood. Rest in peace, little girl. Hopefully you are reunited with your parents. After this heartbreak, we head back to the hunter's dream to have the messengers help us mourn this passing. We then take a look at their inventory and come across a few key pieces of lore, so listen up. The antidote description reads, used to treat ashen blood, the baffling sickness that ravaged Old Yharnam long ago. These tablets only provide short-term relief. The ashen blood ailment eventually triggered the beastly scourge. So we know that Old Yharnam was burned down by the healing church. But this tablet suggests that they tried to contain the spread and actually help people before resorting to such drastic measures. According to the pungent blood cocktail, people in Yharnam were definitely abusing this blood. But in their defense, they didn't know about how it would affect them, so the healing church is still in the wrong here for letting their blood go unchecked. Gehrman did tell us that this town is home only now to beasts, so needless to say, we are in for a rough time. The next item is the Hunter Chief Emblem, and it reads as follows. A cloth emblem that belonged to the captain of the church hunters long ago opens the main gate that leads to the round plaza of the great cathedral. The main gate is shut tight on nights of the hunt and could only be opened from the other side with this emblem. In other words, the captain's return and this emblem determined the end of the hunt. So assuming that this gate leads to where we need to go, we can't get to it at this point since we don't have 10,000 echoes to blow. And finally, the Yharnam Hunter outfit reads, Ludwig, the first hunter of the healing church, once recruited Yharnamites to serve as hunters. This hunter's attire was made for new recruits and has excellent straightforward defense. This is not nearly enough though to allow an ordinary man to stand any real chance against the beasts. So this explains why Yharnamites are walking around in the streets with pitchforks, axes and torches. Ludwig, mentioned earlier by the sword hunter badge, is the hunter who recruited them, but he was the first hunter. So we can assume that he is also the captain that the emblem mentions. But we've wasted enough time, so let's get into Old Yharnam. We head straight from the lamp and come across a new enemy type. We don't have any information on them yet, so we'll move past them for now. However, I will point out that they look like they might be employed by the Healing Church. At the top of the stairs, we see that this gate is closed by a contraption. But it's not the gate I wanted to point out. It's the shield, which I feel was FromSoft's way of indirectly telling us that playing defensively is not the way that Bloodborne will be conquered. Anyway, heading back, we go out the side of the chapel this time, kill some more of the big fellas and pick up a new outfit where we suddenly notice a galaxy looking orb gravitating towards where we picked up the armor. We have no clue at this point what this is, but as you gain more insight, things like that will start to make a lot more sense. To make matters worse, up a small staircase, we are greeted with this gigantic monstrosity who honestly looks more intimidating than he actually is. But again, we have no clue what or who these are, so we move forward. At the top of this very same staircase, we have another gate, but this is the one which the Chief Hunter emblem opens up. So unless you have 10,000 souls to cough up, I suggest we keep moving. At the bottom we find an area which mostly just serves as a means to upgrade your weapons before heading into Old Yharnam. There's nothing of real note here though, except the inaccessible door that has driven people mad for years, until they learn that it's just cut content. Anyway, it's now time to really make our way into Old Yharnam since we already established that our other paths are blocked. We head down a flight of stairs which takes us to more Yharnamites patrolling around. Now as you can probably guess, these guys aren't random. They are here to make sure that nothing from Old Yharnam makes it to the top. It's a rather small group, but it should be more than enough to handle whatever gets through when you see what they used to seal off the place. To the side we find another staircase that leads to another friend, Alfred. Alfred speaks more about the Healing Church and doesn't really give us much information that we didn't already know. But he does mention a holy medium for blood healing, which suggests that there is a divine or spiritual aspect to the origin for blood healing. Earlier we found a madman's knowledge which mentions the Great Ones, and German also talked about the Tomb of the Gods, which Alfred here elaborates on.
Byrgenwerth is an old place of learning, and the Tomb of the Gods, carved out below Yharnam, should be familiar to every hunter. Well, once a group of young Byrgenwerth scholars discovered a holy medium deep within the tomb. This led to the founding of the Healing Church and the establishment of blood healing. In this sense, everything sacred in Yharnam can be traced back to Byrgenwerth. But today, the college lies deep within a tangled wood, abandoned and decrepit. And furthermore, the Healing Church has declared Byrgenwerth forbidden ground. It's unclear how many of its scholars remain alive, but only they know the password that allows passage through the gate.
Finally, we get some information about Byrgenwerth. Apparently it was a place where some of the most brilliant minds studied. These scholars ventured into the Tomb of the Gods and found the source or inspiration for their good blood. Alfred keeps mentioning a holy medium instead of the holy medium, which means that there is more than one. It's likely that the holy medium, Tomb of the Gods and the Great Ones are all connected, as they are the only things we've heard about that mentions any sort of divine or spiritual aspect. The Great Ones then must be who these tombs were built by or built for, and they are the reason that the Healing Church has their special blood. Earlier we also found a note that mentioned the Byrgenwerth spider, and the way that it was mentioned suggests that this spider might be one of the Great Ones. Anyway, we now have another area on our to-do list, Byrgenwerth, where we should be able to find answers. Problem is that the place is declared forbidden ground and is locked behind a gate for which we need the password. It really seems like there will be answers here that the church doesn't want anyone knowing about. The cathedral is probably the only place where we will be able to find the password, so along with our other possible answers, we now have more reason to reach the cathedral. But before that, we head back inside and pull a lever which pulls back this massive coffin. So seeing that the entrance of Old Yharnam is so small, it's rather easy to secure this place with the little amount of Yharnamites who were patrolling here earlier. We make our way downstairs and on a door we find a note. This town is long abandoned, hunters not welcome here. Being the blind hunter that we are, we open the door and get greeted by Jura. He tells us to turn back because the beasts here are not a threat to anyone at the top. He also threatens us, so there's that.
You there. Hunter! Didn't you see the warning? Turn back at once. Old Yharnam, burned and abandoned by men, is now home only to beasts. They are of no harm to those above. Turn back, for the hunter will face the hunt.
Regardless, we carry on and kill every single beast right in front of him. He compliments us on our skill and promptly starts firing at us with a Gatling gun. Now this is a prime example of when the area is more difficult than the boss, and you can deal with him shooting at you while you explore. But I'm not about that life. I'm gonna rush him down, kill him, and then explore. As we continue exploring, you'll notice that the hooded beasts are actually females. If you look at the statues depicting women praying or begging, the cloak they wear is identical to that of the beast cloaks. And a cool little detail, these aren't afraid of fire like the other ones are because their eyes are covered. And if that doesn't convince you, their name literally says female patient. These females also inflict poison on you, which is cured with the antidote. And from its description, we can surmise that the poison is this so-called ashen blood that they infect us with. It's the blood that now courses through their veins. It is so potent that it deals damage to us. No wonder these people are so far gone, and also why the church was so damn afraid. We continue working our way through the town and come across another hunter who's here protecting the beasts. Not a hard fight, but he does drop something that mentions yet another new area. The bone marrow ash reads, according to the workshop, this is a special bone marrow ash collected from Hemwick Charnel Lane. This is rather disturbing. Bone marrow is being collected from something that was obviously burned. But this something's bone marrow has the ability to strengthen quicksilver bullets. We know that our bullets are infused with our blood, and blood in Yharnam is obviously very powerful as it can enhance a person's body or turn them into something else entirely. So whatever this ash is collected from, it clearly isn't human and it's probably more powerful than the beast we've fought so far. We'll definitely learn something from this Hemwick Charnel Lane, but not yet. Close to where we killed the hunter, we see a small opening at a nearby ledge. Naturally, we drop down and head inside. Here we find more beasts and a note which reads, "The red moon hangs low and beasts rule the streets." Are we left with no other choice than to burn it all to cinders? Gurman also mentioned the moon earlier when he said, "It will be a long hunt tonight." Obviously, the note was written before Old Yharnam was set ablaze, but how does the moon impact the beasts, the night, and why? Past this, we reach the place where you would have killed Jura if you didn't rush him at the start. He will be hostile, and if you kill him, you learn that he was a powder keg hunter. His attire reads, Jura is known through his contact with the powder kegs, the heretics of the workshop. He is said to have been both uncommonly kind and dreadfully foolish. Jura felt defeated by the state of Old Yharnam and renounced his hunter vows. So this so-called heretic couldn't stand to see what happened here in Old Yharnam and decided that he would rather protect the beasts. You can actually befriend Jura if you rush past everything, kill the boss and go to a nice area which you have to work through to get to another boss which will allow you to enter Old Yharnam from the back. But it's crucial that Jura doesn't see you kill any beasts before this. If you do it this way, you'll get some hidden dialogue from him.
Well, well. How did you get in here? It's no matter. What brings you to Old Yharnam? I've no interest in matters further up, but you must not disturb this place. The beasts do not venture above, and mean no harm to anyone. If you still insist on hunting them, then I will hunt you first. You understand me? Yes, very good. I no longer dream, but I was once a hunter too. There's nothing more horrific than a hunt. In case you fail to realize, the things you hunt, they're not beasts. They're people. One day you will see. It's time you got going.
I bet you feel like crap now, huh? Yeah, me neither. Anyway, inside the next building you'll find more beasts, and these are actually much more dangerous than the ones you've been fighting. At the bottom you can see a massive yet scrawny creature strung up, and behind him is an altar with some ritual blood. We can assume that this strung up creature was sacrificed for this ritual blood, and now we know that we are getting close to that holy chalice that German told us about. Behind the altar we see an opening which leads to Ambush City. Seriously, if it's your first time through, this area has serious rage quitting potential. But if you've done it before, it's way less annoying. We find beast blood pellets that don't really tell us much, however it is a very useful tool if used in the right scenarios. At the end of this entire area is the boss. But before tackling him, we head back to the Hunter's Dream to grab a level and also prepare, because this boss can be a struggle if you don't approach it correctly. He is called the Blood-Starved Beast, a fitting name since the Healing Church locked this place down and obviously stopped sending blood here. Now, you can summon Alfred to come along and help with this fight. However, if you've been paying attention, you'll remember that the pungent blood cocktail can be thrown to attract bloodthirsty beasts, and since this is the Blood-Starved Beast, he will naturally gravitate towards blood, giving you a rather large window to attack him. You can also use fire and ceration since he is of course a beast, and lastly, because the blood distracts him, you can safely use the beast blood pellets to increase your damage as you attack. And when you defeat him, he drops the Tumeru Chalice. Now, you can enter the Tomb of the Gods and partake in communion. Now many people actually despise the Chalice dungeons because 1, well they suck, and 2, there is no incentive from the main story to go and do them. They are completely optional. But for the sake of this series, I will be going over how you tackle them and when. We then head back to the Hunter's Dream, which signals our completion of Old Yharnam. I am really enjoying this series so far, and I'd love to complete it. However, I still need to see how the first video performs, as it's only been live for a day so far. Please let me know if you want me to continue with this. Keep in mind that I am new to lore dives, so bear with me. But if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that like button and sharing your thoughts with me. For any who are still here, I'd like to share a message. Proverbs 3 verse 5 to 7 reads, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own understanding. In all your ways know him, and he will make your paths straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil." In troubled times, God is in control. Don't run to the world for advice, because the world is just as flawed where God is perfect. He will guide you and sustain you. Put your trust in him and know that he is with you. That's all for now. Hope you all have a very blessed and wonderful day. See you next time.